What's up, everyone? This is Stony, back again with Behind the Stick. This is actually a video of my second attempt at a ring one with my dog Kenbi, the fruit bat. So this trial was actually down in Jacksonville. It was hosted by First Coast Ring Sport, which is a really good group of trainers, handlers, and some really good dogs down there in that area. So you'll kind of see our progression from our first attempt at ring one compared to our second attempt. I was much more pleased with this performance, even though there was still a few little things that I went back to kind of work on. Starting off right here with the hurdle, this is actually interesting because it shows you how much dogs actually pay attention to things that you don't even realize. So when we train a hurdle, we kind of start them off by having them jump to a physical location. It could be like a little place marker, like a place pad, or sometimes cones. So you'll see when she does this jump, she almost like she goes off the screen. What you can't see is that she runs all the way to a cone that's over by the palisade wall. So I'm realizing, when she does it, like, oh, she's actually looking for a cone. So there she is again. She jumps. So she clears the jump the first time, and then I decided to raise up the height, and she does it again. She runs all the way to the cone, and she comes all the way back. So I was actually surprised to see that because I'd never actually seen her do it. But she's looking, she's physically looking for the cone. So it might be something that I might even incorporate with some of the other exercises. So here's the muzzle heel. She does pretty good on here. I think she may have lost 2 points for foraging or lagging. I forget which one. But I actually want to use this opportunity to kind of talk about what you're going to see next, which is the retrieve. So there's a little backstory and theory behind the retrieve. She did not do it well. She did not come directly back to me. She kind of ran in a big circle and she got kind of distracted. So some backstory. She literally went into heat like just a couple days before the actual trial. So literally the day I show up in Jacksonville, she starts, bleeding. She starts dropping. So we had to go last. You can still compete in French ring with a dog in heat, but you have to be the last dog for the obvious reasons. All the other dogs can smell your dog. So another thing is, because I went last, it was after the ring 3 dogs where there's food on the field. So you actually see the judge picking up a piece of food right here. So she doesn't actually go for any of the food or anything like that. She doesn't stop to sniff the ground, but her retrieve was just really, really way off. She gets the object and she just runs way off path. So, it could possibly have been related to her being in heat, possibly, with those extra scents and everything being on the field. But regardless, her job is to get the object and make a beeline straight towards me, which she does not do. So, it's my job as a trainer to figure out, what happened, and then to put, a game plan in place to, prevent it from happening in the future. So, it is what it is. She didn't do the retrieve as she was supposed to do, so she lost some points on that exercise as well. Heel on leash, she does this pretty good as well. She keeps a pretty good space. One little detail to know is that when you're doing the heel on leash or any of the heeling exercises, you don't have to get super close to the cones because the dog is actually not supposed to touch the cones themselves. So you can create a little space as you're kind of going around those corners and not cut those corners too tight. You don't want your dog bumping up against the cones, anything like that. But then again, just having a really solid heel is just, critical for the whole, the whole thing. The next exercise right here, the food refusal, she does this pretty good as well. Now, you remember from my last video, I was talking about how the dogs will go down into a down position. They'll start sniffing. So you'll see there's an improvement between last time and this time. She goes down, she does sniff a little bit, but she doesn't continue to sniff. And then on her absence of handler, she goes down and it's much more of what you want to see. You want to see your dog drop down, but you don't want to see him sniffing all over the place. So, ring 1 and above, there are 4 pieces that are thrown at the dog. Once you get to ring 3, they literally almost hitting the dog with the food. Like the food gets really, really close. So, it just gets more challenging as, those levels get higher. So, you just have to train the dog to understand that whatever is thrown at them in that position, they can't touch. So obviously when you're training it, you never, ever, 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 ever throw food at your dog in a down position. If you're going to give your dog a treat or anything like that, make sure they are not in a down position, because you basically be training against your own self. You're training against your goal. So if you don't want your dog to ever go after any food in that position, then you can't give them any food in that position. You can make them come to you to get the food, or you can go to them and give them the food. But if you want your dog to be in the habit of refusing food in a down position, you have to absolutely positively make sure that you never throw them food in a down position and allow them to have it. Otherwise, you're just tearing down your own house. So here are the positions. She does these pretty good. She does creep forward, so she loses some points on that. She does all the positions correct, but I actually messed her up on this one. The deputy judge, so basically they'll tell you letters for each, position. So I believe the deputy judge said D, and in my mind I thought down. So I gave her a couché command, which you see her dropping down. But D was actually for debout, in French. But that's just a handler mistake. She did the position correctly, but I messed her up. So she missed one of the positions, because of a handler error. So she lost some points on that. And you can see she's creeping forward as well. So now she did lose some points herself by creeping forward, and kind of crossing that line. So, again, teaching her the down position was something that I basically had to reteach after she already learned it. So now the repetitions are teaching her to go down and back, which, we'll post some videos on that as well. But basically getting the dog to drop down, but also go back instead of coming forward. Absence of handler. So here you'll kind of see what I was referring to when she goes down into the box. She doesn't sniff around like she was in her first leg of ring 1. So you see she kind of drops down. Her nose barely even drops down. She kind of maintains her position. She's not sniffing all over the place. So that's what you want to see. You want to, continue to train your dog to know not to drop down and to sniff around and sniff around and sniff around, because again, if they get on a scent that's really interesting to them, they can literally take themselves out of that position and of course terminate the exercise or lose points. So you just want to get them to be in the habit of dropping down and keeping their head up, looking forward, paying attention to what's going on. So she actually does a pretty good job with this exercise. So that kind of leads us into the defense exercises. Once again, she was really, really reared up, really ready to go. You see she's bouncing. You can't hear the audio, but she's barking right now. See her tail, she's spinning like a propeller. She's spinning wheels. So, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, Lord, here she goes. She's about to lose control. She did stay with me. She didn't kind of take off prematurely like she did before. So she actually bit really well in this exercise too. The issue, once again, she's still having a little trouble with her guard. So she kind of, I believe, in theory, in my mind, she's basically hearing the horn and the whistle is like the same thing. So she bites really well, but when she hears the horn, which tells me to give her the guard command, she comes straight back to me. So it's just one of the things we've been working on since then, getting her to stay put, basically. So we're kind of doing that in a variety of different ways. But one thing is that basically the out and the down command are basically now married to each other. So she always hears them together. So she loses some points on that exercise as she didn't complete the guard portion of that exercise. So here's the flea attack. You can't see the beginning of it, but there it is right there. She does this exercise perfectly well. She bites really well. She regrips a couple times, but her head is turning. She looks pretty comfortable on the bite. And at the horn, she comes back after she hears the whistle. So she does that exercise correctly, and I want to say she got all her points on that one. So this next exercise is the defensive handler, and really because there's one measurable and significant improvement with just this one exercise, I was really content with her whole performance based on that, because that's really what you want to see, those very specific improvements. Number one, she has a lot more composure, control, unlike before. She's bouncing all over the place. She couldn't really maintain her settled position, but here she's composed, she's excited, she's verbal, but she's maintaining her heel. And when he reaches out to shake my hand, she doesn't go for his hand, anything like that, which exactly what she did before. And she does exactly what she's supposed to do. He goes behind, she tracks him, and she maintains really good contact with me. You can see she's really leaning into me, and she doesn't make any contact until he hits my back, and boom, she goes right into a bite, which is perfect, exactly what I want to see. So here he gives a really good leg swing to try to get her off. Here it actually looks like he kicks her off, but he doesn't. Actually, right after he kicks, I get the horn to call her out, and again, instead of just going into her guard, she comes off the bite and she comes straight back to me. So it's just another manifestation of the overall issue, which is just her coming straight back to me on the sound of the horn. So obviously we're just training her to just go into an auto guard position. The last one was the face attack. She slips her entry bite, which, like I said, since then we've been doing a lot of specific things to really build up her entry, build up her jaw strength, build up those muscles in her head, so that when she makes that first bite, she can kind of grip it better. Again, you can't hear the audio in here, but she comes back right on the on my whistle. She's never really had any issues with recall, but now basically we're working on getting her to go into an auto guard position after she comes out. So yeah, overall, much better overall performance. She got 3rd place out of 9 dogs, which we'll take what we can get. Obviously wasn't the performance that we were looking for, but I was much more content with this performance because I could see some very specific improvements. Like I said, her going down and not sniffing too much. She had much more composure during the defense exercises, which is big for her, because she's a very verbal dog. She's very she's on edge, she's intense, she's the type of dog that'll kind of spin wheels. So it's one of the areas that we really have to work with her on. So just seeing those improvements was really big for me. So she could have really she could have scored much lower, and I would have been equally as content, because as a trainer, that's what you look for. You look for those specific, definable, measurable improvements, because that's really the roadmap that you take going forward, as far as improving on the other things. So she did really good as far as maintaining her composure, was much better. She would kind of maintain her down without sniffing around too much. That was a really big plus. So still working on that down and back, just building up that muscle memory to get her to collapse into a down and kind of avoid that, creeping forward. Like I said, she's a very antsy type dog. She spins wheels, so she's always looking to kind of come forward, so that's something that we've been working on. And also obviously getting her to go into that auto guard position. There's some things we've been implementing as well to kind of improve on that as well. So we'll probably take another swing at ring 1 just to get a higher score before moving on to ring 2. Also, if you have not done so already, just double check and make sure you have not subscribed to this channel. Do not subscribe. Don't don't put anything in the comments. Don't subscribe to this channel unless you like this kind of content. unless it's the type of content that you want to see more of. You want to see more working dogs, you want to see more sporting dogs, you want to see more protection dog sports, and content for decoys, for trainers, for handlers. If and only if that's the type of content that you like, then by all means subscribe, give us a thumbs up, drop some comments, let us know what you want to see, let us know any kind of details that you noticed, and let us know how you train. How do you train some of these different techniques for your dogs? Let us know. We have a lot of content coming up. Season 2 is coming. Season 2 is going to be crazy. So stay tuned.